What is going on, everyone? It's Mike, it's John, back again for the third time trying to record this video. Unbelievable, really. It's my fault. Well, it's not, but it's...
Merry Christmas, everyone, because it's took us that long to get this going.
Yeah, brilliant, John. We're talking about Bournemouth and Norwich still. No, so we're doing a tier list video, as you can see from the screen. Tier list, and we're talking about the fans, really, about where they view their club. They've got 5 categories: massive club, big club, just about top 20 team, just above small club, which is kind of like your category that, you know, they're not quite a pathetic, insignificant club, but they are a football club. And then we've got the deluded fan base. That's like a special category, really, for fans of deluded nature, which we'll talk about the first one in a moment. But the deluded nature is the ones that it is a small club, it's won fuck all. It might have won some trophies, but a long, long time ago. You know, I'm talking 50 plus years. You know, sort of Newcastle. No, not mentioning anything. So, so anyway, John, we're going to start. So I'm going to go with Newcastle United. I'm going to start with them. Deluded fan base, and it's a small club. Now, for me, Newcastle fit into this category for several reasons. Firstly, they haven't won anything since about 1812. And they've got a massive stadium, 52,000 at St James's. When you sit in the away end, you are pretty much on the summit of Everest. However, they're not a big club. They've got a big stadium, but they're not a big club. And actually, on paper, to all Newcastle fans listening to this, at least Sunderland have won more league titles than Newcastle. So I actually would put Sunderland above them. So I'm going Newcastle as a deluded fan base. Now, there's a lot of people on here who say, how can you dig out Newcastle like that? True Geordie's your inspiration. Well, I'm telling you this now. True Geordie is my inspiration for setting up this channel, getting John involved. John's like my Lawrence, although he's absolutely spongold in every department. However, he hasn't had me on the kickoff. So therefore, rightly so, Newcastle go bottom category. What do you think to that, John?
I'm not being funny. Newcastle made the True Geordie into what he is. You know, he started doing videos on that deluded club. I can't stand the fans. And I'm not being funny yet. You mentioned you've got Sunderland bigger than them who've won a league title. But you've got a choice of 3, Middlesbrough, Sunderland or Newcastle. They've got no one else really to support. That's why them Geordies support that team. Yeah, they've got a big stadium. It's a mile from the back seat to the diagonal corner flag. I've been there. The elevator was broke. I used all my inhaler that day. It absolutely killed me. But I totally agree with you. Drop them right at the bottom. And if you can, put them at the end on the bottom, because that's how fucking horrible they are.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. So let's go back into alphabetical order now. Although it's not, because I haven't got a league table in front of me, so I'm just popping it off the top of my head. Let's talk about Arsenal Football Club. This is a team that's currently just made 55 people redundant from its football club. However, the more embarrassing thing is they're trying to offer Willian 200 grand a week to sign, when they've made people redundant to basically sign him. It's absolutely pathetic. Aubameyang's going to be on about £7 gazillion a week. Arsenal Football Club, look, I've got a lot of respect for Arsenal. I think they are a big club in England. For me, just based on their history and history and the fact they haven't been relegated in 100 years, I'd put Arsenal in a massive club section. What do you do, John?
Well, see, I was going to put them in the big club only for the simple fact it's the making the redundant people, you know, 55 of them, and yet they're paying Ozil £350,000 a week. That club needs to think about its employees in the back, you know, who work behind the scenes, as well as the team that's on the pitch. So for me, you know, I think Arteta's got a big job. They do need to spend money. Aubameyang's on the verge of signing a new contract, but it looks like Lacazette could be off to Atletico Madrid. So, you know, it looks like they're bringing William in and they're going to get rid of Lacazette. So for me, yeah, they have won things under Wenger. It's going to take a very, very long time for Arsenal to be that successful again. So for me, big club.
Okay.
So you wherever you want.
No, I'm more than happy to put them in big club. I think that's a very, very fair comment, and trust me, I will want you to stick with me on some of my opinions in this. So I'll scratch your back, you scratch my back, and maybe a little blowy at the same time. Right, let's talk about Aston Villa. Aston Villa, now, again, look, this is a team that has struggled over recent years, but there's no doubt they've got history. Won a European Cup, a few league titles, had some good players, good managers over the years. For me, I'll put them in big club. I think Villa Park is always a great atmosphere. I always think there's a mutual respect between Everton and Villa. So for me, Villa go in big club. What about you, John?
I'm going to put them into big club just like you, because they remind me a bit like Everton. Yeah, Everton have been more successful, co-founders of the Football League alongside Everton, you know, good fan base, good atmosphere at the ground. I've been there many times. They've got a nice stadium, done well to stay up. So listen, if you're asking me this next season when we do this, I wouldn't put them in big club. Obviously, if they go down, then they won't be classed as a big club. But for history, that's where I'm dropping them on this video.
Absolutely fine. I'm more than happy with that explanation from you as well, John. Now let's talk about Brighton and Hove Albion. Now, first and foremost, I wanna mention someone, Sully Kanchuk or Canuck. I always never get it right. This guy has subscribed and followed me on this channel for 2 years, and I'm about to talk about his beloved Brighton. So what I say here is not a direct reflection of you, my friend. However, it's really difficult to put Brighton in anything other than just above a small club, which is the second bottom category, because they haven't got loads of years in the top flight. I don't think they've won any major honours in the top flight, or if they have, it's certainly not many. Don't get me wrong, I don't know the history of Brighton, so I'm not going to... But in terms of when people have that conversation, are Brighton a big club? The genuine answer is no. I wish them the best. I've got a lot of time for Brighton, but they're just not a big club, and they're a team that, you know, you could see them being a championship team or a bottom Premier League team, but you can never massively see them going any further. So for me, they're just above a small club.
Yeah, totally agree with you. I was going to drop them in there myself. You know, I like their fan base for the simple fact of the matter is, unlike the Geordies, they don't think there's something that they're not. You know, looks like they're getting a bit of stability now in the Premier League. You know, got a couple of good players. He did deserve to stay up, but as you say, past history, you can't put them any higher than just a big club.
No, fine. Agreed. Absolutely agreed. Right then. So, after Brighton, we have the monumental, and I'm doing this off the Premier League app, which is great because it's been updated and Arsenal are top, just a mug off Liverpool. Love it.
Liverpool in the table at the minute as well for next season.
Yeah, well, they are 11th, so they're struggling at a minute, Liverpool. We go on to Burnley. Now, again, Burnley have got a decent, fairly rich to a degree history. You know, they have won a few trophies, but a long, long time ago. Sean Dyche has got them, I mean, he's got them being a consistent Premier League team. You know, I sit there and I go, yeah, I've got respect for Burnley, their workforce, but I can't see them challenging for top 4 or even a league title ever. They've challenged for Europe, and I think they'll consistently challenge for Europe because they have a workman type team, but that is about it. So for me, I'll put them in the middle category, which is just about top 20 team.
Yeah, do you know what? I totally agree with you. Again, you know, I think the thing Burnley need is they probably need someone to come in with a lot of money, bigger stadium, you know, and then see what Sean Dyche can do, because he has worked on a shoestring budget. And for me, you know, he's been linked with the Everton job in the past. He's not good enough for Everton, and this is no disrespect to Burnley, but this is what this video is all about. He's good enough for Burnley. He gets the players playing for them. They play for each other. They're not a bad team. As you say, they're not going to challenge in the near future. So I agree where you've put them, Michael.
Yeah, and to be fair, look, I think it's no, you know, this is towards the Burnley fans. I think they'll accept that. They are a team that is consistently hard-working, a grafting team, and you've got to respect them for that. Do you get what I mean?
The fans aren't blinkers, the fans agree with what they see, and I think with the rundown we've given the club, I think, as you say, they'll agree with us.
Yeah. Well, let's move on. Chelsea. I'll let you start with Chelsea, John.
Well, I won't say they're a massive club. I'll probably drop them in the big club category. They've won a lot of trophies since Mr. Abramovich come in. For me, they do chop and change managers a lot, very quick. Can't believe they haven't offered William another contract. Yeah, they have been successful. They've won Premier League titles. They've had some good managers in the past. It looks like, I know they got spunked the other night in the Champions League. The Champions League for Chelsea is going to be a work in progress under Frank Lampard. He hasn't got much experience in the manager side of Champions League. But listen, there's no taking away the fact that Chelsea are a big club.
Yeah. I put them in exactly the same space as you, and pretty much for exactly the same reasons. Let's move on to Crystal Palace. Now, I think this might split some opinions here. They've been a Premier League team a decent period of time. They've been a top flight team for, a good amount of years as well in their history. They just don't do much. They're just there. They just exist, and it's no discredit to the fans or anything, but I think if they lost players like Zaha, they'd be a championship team again. Look, I thought they had a good season this season, but actually it turned out they finished like 15th or 16th in the league. They lose Zaha in the summer, they could go down. So for me, I put them in the same bracket as I put Brighton, which, considering they hate each other, is absolutely brilliant. So for me, I put them in just above small club, second bottom category. What do you do, John?
I go one higher, only for the simple fact of the matter is, I think the problem Crystal Palace have, you've always tended to have to sell their better players. Now, if they could have kept hold of some of the players that they've let go, not going to say they'd be challenging for the league or challenging for the Champions League, but every season there's always a little patch of the season where people are looking at Palace as if they could be going down, and they always tend to stay up. So for me, Roy's there, England manager, ex-England manager, you have got a couple of good players. I agree with you. If they lose Zaha, but I just think that there's a lot worse teams than Palace. Palace are seasons in the Premier League now, if you get what I mean. They've stabilised themselves as a Premier League club. So I put them just about a top 20 team.
Okay. All right, well, I'm going to put them in my category this time, just because we went with your category for Arsenal. Is that fair?
Yeah, fine, that's fine.
Yeah. All right. I can certainly see your reasons for it, certainly. Right then, let's move on. We're going to skip the next team for a little second. We're going to talk about Fulham, obviously promoted recently, beating Brentford 2-1 in the playoff final. A game that, look, I personally wanted Brentford to come up, because Fulham are a weird bunch. Because I think their fans think they are much bigger than what they are. Craven Cottage seats about 6 people. It's not a great stadium. It's got one half decent stand. The rest of the stadium you could knock down and replace with a car park. For me, I struggle with some of their fans as well. When you see their fans and you see the amount of money they spend. But I don't think they're as bad as Newcastle. So for me, I'm going just above small club, second bottom category for Fulham.
Do you know what? Again, we'll agree on that. Very rare we agree on so much, but I do agree where you've put them. And the thing for Fulham is, they're a family club. And again, I'm saying this. I said this before about Burnley. They need a bigger stadium. If they're gonna want to stay in the Premier League, they need to keep hold of their better players. I know they've got Mitrovic there. I think if Fulham wouldn't have come up, Mitrovic would have gone. They're in the situation with a lot of other teams who go down. Norwich will be in that situation as well, where they have to sell their better players. So I don't mind Fulham being there. I've been there a couple of times. It is a shit ground, to be fair, but I'm putting them just above a small club.
Yeah, agreed. Absolutely agreed. Right then, this one's going to cause some debate. Leeds United. Now, there is absolutely no doubt in my mind, right, that Leeds United could happily fit in the bottom category, which is a deluded fan base, and it's a small club. And I'm not actually saying that knowing that they're a small club. They're bigger than Newcastle. But their fans are deluded as to how big they are. They're going to go in the Premier League and they're going to be like, we're one of the biggest clubs here, blah, blah, blah. You know, we should be in massive club tier, blah, 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 blah. And at Championship level, there was a massive club. No doubt about it. They were one of the biggest. You know, you could put Nottingham Forest in there in the same category. But in the Premier League, they're not a massive club. They're an average size club. You know, they've got a good fan base. They've got good support. But for me, I do think Leeds United should be in the Premier League. I like the fact Leeds are in the Premier League, but equally, they're not a big club. They're not a massive club. They've had some history in the past. They've been in the Championship for 16 years. So for me, I put them in just about a top 20 team. I go bang in the middle, and the reason I do that is because I don't want to be harsh on their fans straight off the bat and say they're absolutely deluded, because we all know that they are. But I just don't want to nail them with it yet. However, John, we're going with what you say on this one. So if you want the Leeds fans to hate you, go for it.
Right, I'm not being funny. The Leeds fans hate everyone apart from themselves. So for me, that's a deluded fan base, and I'll say it. People know me on here. I won't hold back. I'll say it how it is. Yeah, we've got a great manager there. Without him, you know, if Leeds wouldn't have come up, I think Bielsa probably would have moved on. He's done wonders there, Bielsa, to be honest with you. I think they were unlucky the season before, the one just gone, not getting up. They've done it this season. They've gone up. I'd like to see Leeds go straight back down. I got legged there one day when I went to watch Everton Leeds, and literally I got legged by about 50 of them. I swear to God. The coach car park used to be on the other side of the motorway, and they used to stand under the bridge that went under the motorway and drop boulders on you, honest to God. So for me, they think they're a bit like Newcastle, in my opinion. So I want them to go down. Deluded fan base, in my opinion.
Absolutely fine, John. And there they are in the bottom category, just for you, bud. Just for you.
That's me not going to Ellen Road next season.
It's just you. So that's our away day to Leeds. Cancelled. Absolutely fucking canned. Right, let's talk about Leicester City. Leicester City, now this is a weird one because, again, I think a lot of their fans are very deluded as to how big they are. Yes, they won the Premier League a few years ago, and congratulations to them. They've also fought for the Champions League this season and bottled it again. Brendan Rodgers doing a typical Brendan Rodgers bottle job, which is fantastic to see. I can't put them in big club because they've only won a couple or one league title. I've got to put them in just about top 20. But I do respect the fact that Leicester possibly could border into both of those categories. But their fans do my nutting. Now, obviously, I'm very, very close with the True Fox, who a lot of Evertonians hate. He's a little bit like a little brother to me, and I've got all the time in the world for him. So I'm absolutely contradicting myself here that possibly the most hated Leicester fan is one of my mates, and I don't hate him. But the rest of the fan base are quite far up their arse. I find it astounding. So for me, they're going just about a top 20 team. Leicester City go there. John, what about you, mate?
So where have you put them?
In the middle category.
Yeah, I was going to put them there as well, to be fair. Listen, you're mates with the True Fox. I'm not. This channel's not about any sentiment whatsoever, so I will say it as it is. I'm going to put them where you've put them. They've won the same amount of Premier League titles as what Liverpool have. You know, for me, Brendan Rodgers is a half-decent manager. You know, he consistently had them playing good football this season. They were challenging, you know, for the European places. They just missed out on the Champions League. So if they get in the Champions League, I probably put them a tier higher. But because they haven't and they bottled it, as you said there, I'm agreeing where you've put them.
Yeah, absolutely fine with that. Right, let's talk about the mighty Manchester City. Now, Manchester City historically have not had tons of history. They have had a few good years. But for me, as of a brand, as of right now, it's very, very difficult where to put Man City because there is arguments for both big club and massive club. There is an argument for both depending on how you look at it. Now, in terms of history, I don't think you can put them in massive club. In terms of where they can go, what they can achieve, the money behind them, the new stadium that they've had for the last 10 years, whatever, I think you can put them in massive club. So I think it's really difficult where to put Man City. For me, I'm going to put them in big club because they haven't got the history to back where they are now. But I genuinely believe that in 10, 15 years, if they keep grinding, they keep grafting, they win a few more league titles, they do a sort of a Man United run, I could put them in massive club in 5 years' time. But for me, they're a big club.
I'm putting them in massive club just to piss the Reds off, to be fair. I can honestly see Man City winning the league for the next 3 years. You know, they've already spent well. You know, they're bringing a Havertz in. They brought somebody else in. They're going to spend money again now. This financial fair play thing's blew over. Their training complex is absolutely fantastic. It's probably better than Turf Moor, to be honest with you. Their training pitch. So
their training ground is better than Turf Moor. Oh my God! For what they want, yes, they have got money, but I'm telling you right now, Everton have got money, but listen, our financial situation is not a patch on Manchester City's. Yeah, they do spend a lot of money, but let's be honest, folks, we'd love to be in Manchester City's position, wouldn't we? You know, and for me, they're a massive club, and listen, this season just gone, I think they played the better football. I think defensively, they didn't strengthen. I think that's what let Guardiola down. I'm putting them in massive club because I think they're going to dominate. I think there's a very good chance they could win the Champions League this year as well. Fair enough. Okay. Well, look, I'm going to put them in big club only because we went with you with Leeds this time, so it's 2 each basically. But yeah, we'll go with big club. But I absolutely understand why you put them in massive club, John. Like I can't sit here and argue with that. I just would like to see a few more years of it before I put them in massive club. But no, they win the Champions League. I probably agree with you, mate. Right, let's move on to Man United. Now, look, they've had a ropey few years. I don't like Man United. I don't really like teams in red, to be brutally honest. But I think it's very difficult to throw away their history. I think it's very difficult to throw away what their fan base has been through. I equally think sometimes their fan base feel a bit entitled, which pisses me off. But I think there's no getting around the fact they are a massive club.
Massive club. And what I will say when you say there about their fan base sometimes feels entitled, listen, they can afford to be entitled and feel entitled, can't they? The success they've had under Alex Ferguson. Solskjaer had a ropey start when he come in. Seems to have changed that round now, you know. And listen, Man United had a good end to the season since the football started again. They've got to go in massive club for me. I've always said, if Everton don't win anything, I want Man U to win everything just to piss our neighbours off because I absolutely hate them. The rivalry between Everton and Man United isn't as big as what it is between Man United and the Shite. So for me, I have no worries dropping them in massive club. Yeah, the Reds who watch this might have a pop at me for that. But you know what? I'm not arsed. I'm the one who's sitting in front of the camera. So for me, massive club.
Brilliant. Absolutely love that grit and determination. You've just basically said to people who live in your city, where you live, probably your neighbours, you've just said, I'm not arsed, come to my face and I'll smash it in. But when you go to Leeds, you're scared about getting legged. I absolutely love you, John. Love you. Right, we move on to...
There's been loads of times the Reds have threatened to meet me anyway, and I'll do what they want to do to me. And I've told them where I am every match day, and I'm fucking still waiting at 6 o'clock at night after the game in case they're late, in case their flight's fucking late. So
brilliant, absolutely brilliant. He also has a further pop. I love him. Right, let's talk about Sheffield United. Done incredibly well this season, promoted. They've got a tiny bit of history, nothing massively major, but they do have some history. I've got a lot of time for Sheffield United, and I think this could be split. But look, you know, they're a team that's... It's really difficult for me, but I actually put them in the middle category here. I actually say, look, I like what Wilder's done. I think, again, they're very much like Burnley. They are very much like Burnley. If I could say that two teams were like brothers and sisters, I would say Sheffield United and Burnley. They work hard, they graft, they're not pretty, they get the job done. So for me, just on the fact that they have got a tiny bit of history, Sheffield United going to just about top 20. However, John, on this one we go with your choice, so off you go.
I agree. I agree with you. I think with Sheffield United, you just pointed out there, Chris Wilder's done a great job. Listen, I think he's a good manager, and it won't be long before the bigger clubs coming in for him. And that's no disrespect to Sheffield United. That's what happens in football. He's got the players playing. They all know their own job. They had a fantastic season this season. You know, I think they surprised everyone. The league, listen, the manager who wins the league always gets the manager of the season. You know, it's very rare they don't. But for the season Sheffield United had, I wouldn't have been surprised if Chris Wilder was nominated for manager of the season. I'm probably pushing to win it because he's done an absolutely fantastic job. He didn't spend shitloads of money. The fans are okay, to be fair, so I agree with you. The middle tier.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I've stuck him in. Well, let's talk about Tottenham. Tottenham, now, look, I went on the Spursy podcast a few weeks ago. Got on really well with Sava. Really nice bloke. And very brutal and honest. Very similar to us, actually, in our assessments of Everton and Spurs. And yeah, I think you said yourself, you watched the podcast, you said it was really good. It was very insightful. It was 2 hours long. It was a really good video. For me, Spurs going big club. They've got a little bit of history. They've got a decent amount of history. They've got a brand spanking new stadium. I do suspect that they're actually on a downward spiral, even though Mourinho's done quite a decent job there with some decent results, certainly towards the end of the season. So I'll put them in big club. But I do worry that they might start slipping if they lose some of their better players like Harry Kane. But John, we'll go in with whatever you say on these, so good luck.
I agree. Big club, you know, they've got a fantastic stadium there. I only hope Everton's is anything like that, you know. Listen, when Everton were looking for a manager, I was giving the Mourinho shout. You know, he's won things, but now I'm looking at him. For me, I think he's fell out with a lot of the players already. You know, they went through an awful run of form, Tottenham. If they lose Harry Kane, if they lose some of their better players, if Mourinho upsets them at the apple cart even more, you know, Daniel Levy's not a hard man to fall out with. I think they will clash at some point next season or over one of the transfer windows that are up and coming. But, you know, you've got to put them in big club, haven't you? They're definitely higher than the middle tier, so big club for me.
Yeah. We move on to 18th position currently, which is West Bromwich Albion. Now, West Brom are technically the closest football team to me, and I've got a lot of friends who support West Brom. However, they don't have loads of history. Probably the best well-known thing that they've done is they beat Everton in the FA Cup final in 1968. For me, they go in just above small club. It's really difficult for me to say that because I've got a lot of respect for West Brom because, you know, I was mascot for Everton against West Brom. West Brom treated me with loads of respect and I've got a lot of time for that football club. But look, they've spent a long time in the second division of England. You know, yes, they've been a top flight team for many years as well, but they haven't got loads of trophies to back it up. So for me, yeah, West Brom go just above small club. What about you, John?
I agree. You know, West Brom have come up. If they don't spend, I shouldn't be saying this already, you know, the West Brom are okay as a club, but I think they go straight back down. So for me, they've done well. Listen, they've done well with Mason Holgate when he was on loan there as well, but for me, they're just above a small club.
Yeah, fair enough. Right, I'm really looking forward to this one. I feel like I'm timing these just right. So now we talk about West Ham United. Now, I'm gonna be, obviously we go with whatever you say on this, John, but for me, they're also another deluded fan base. Now, I've got a lot of time for certain West Ham fans, and obviously the singer-song for Isla campaign was massive. I got really close to Baz. I got really close to, you know, like Flump9, for example. She started her YouTube channel off the back of my advice and tried to get her on the show. And look, she's lovely, and so's Baz, and so is some of the other guys who are at West Ham and are fans. But the fact of the matter is they are nowhere near as big as I think they are. Their stadium is about 4.5 miles away from the pitch. You cannot get yourself any closer to the stadium than watching through binoculars. It's an absolute waste of time. You may as well have just said to them, look, just go and play in the park. They do sell out. That's what, they sell out every week. They sell out 60,000 seats every week. Who managed to watch David Moyes play long ball football? I just couldn't do it. For me, they're deluded. They're nowhere near as good as they think they are. And the fact that they've gone from Pellegrini, who won everything, could give them real hope, signing players like Yarmolenko, Fornals, Anderson. They spent some real money on top players, Lanzini, and they are absolutely shit. So for me, deluded fan base, and it's a small club. What about you, John?
Totally agree with everything you just said. I wanted West Ham to go down. Listen, David Moyes done wonders at Everton. The way he left Everton pissed me off. I wanted West Ham to go down for two reasons. One, because David Moyes is their manager, and two, because of their fan base. And also their owners. Their owners are absolutely shocking. The players they've got there, as you mentioned, Lanzini's a great player. He put a lad up front towards the end of the season. He scored loads of goals. Can't think of his name. They've got some decent players, but they just don't click. And for me, if David Moyes is in charge of that club for the full season next season, they go down.
Yeah. Now, you see, I'm the opposite. I actually think David Moyes would keep them at a decent position. But I
don't. I think they're going to lose the better players.
Well, we can only hope, because I would love West Ham to go down. Right, we've got we've got two teams. I completely forgot to mention Southampton, and that itself speaks volumes for that club. The fact I completely forgot to mention them when they are literally in front of me. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. They are an absolutely irrelevant football club that has produced some very decent talent over the last few years, who looked great at some points. Let's go through a few of their players that they've sort of nurtured and made good. You could say Danny Ings was one of their players at one point. You could say players like Gareth Bale, Theo Walcott at 16 years old. You could say Luke Shaw. There's lots of players at Southampton. You could say, yeah, you know what, you were a good player for them, Morgan Schneiderlin, Lallana. But I'm telling you right now, mate, you take that club out of Southampton and no one thinks they're relevant. So for me, they're just above small club. Absolute waste of time, and I wouldn't be arsed if they weren't in the Premier League. What about you, John?
Deluded. To be fair, deluded. They're never going to win anything. And for any club that gets twatted, what was it, 9-1?
9-0.
In the Premier League. 9-0. Don't deserve to be in the Premier League, to be fair. So, for me, deluded fan base. They think they're bigger than what they are. They're never going to win anything. Southampton's a shithole anyway, so just take that stadium out of Southampton because it won't be missed.
Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. So we'll put them in deluded fan base, and it is a small club. Absolutely fine. Right, so we went with your opinion on that, John, just so you know. I put them in small club, you put them in deluded as Ross. Right, we've got Wolverhampton Wanderers. Now, Wolves, a great season. They do have a little bit of history, but they're not quite a big club. For me, they're in the middle, just about top 20 team. See, very similar to Leicester City. Both done incredibly well this season, really. Yeah, Wolves middle tier for me. I've got a lot of time for them. Hope they do well in Europe, but really deep down, not really bothered.
Same as you. I think they go in just above a top 20 team. They got some great players. I like the manager, to be fair, at Wolves, but going back onto what you told me today, apparently they broke financial fair play. For a club like Wolves, that could have massive implications. And listen, they've had a great season. I think they've played about 79 games, Wolves, this season, from when the Europa League started. But they have done well. But on history, on success, they have to go in the middle tier, same as what you've said.
Yeah. Fair enough. Right, we move on to the biggest club. I'm not asked what you say about this football team. It's Everton Football Club. They go into massive club for very obvious reasons. First of all, Everton is the first team to pioneer in so many areas. 3-tier stands, 2-tier stands, 1-tier stands, floodlights, shirt numbers on the back, badges on corner flags.
Undersoil
heating. Dixie Dean scoring 60 goals, 9 league titles, 5 FA Cups, European Cup Winners' Cup. Look, Everton, there is an argument Everton going big club, but because this is mine and John's channel, and the fact that no one's going to fucking argue with us, and if they do, I'm not bothered, they're going in massive club, because that is exactly where Everton Football Club are, because we are the Blue Boys and up the fucking toffees.
Totally agree. Listen, I eat whatever the saying is, eat, sleep and what have you. Everton, you know, massive club for me. Think about them all the time. We just need to win something and push on, even if it's a League Cup. You know, we're hungry for success. But listen, the things you reeled off at the beginning there, we're faced for so many things. We have massive history, and yet there's some clubs on Twitter, you get some knobhead putting polls on who's bigger, Leeds or Everton. Fuck off. Stop them fucking shit polls, because it's obviously a Leeds fan on a Leeds Twitter page. So it's going to be fucking Leeds. When don't be so deluded, and this is why you ended up in the bottom by me. You're fucking nowhere near. You're not fit enough to fucking clean Goodison Park's fucking shit, fucking bogs, okay? It's Leeds, fuck off. So Everton, for me, massive club, always will be, always have been, faced for so many things. Past history is massive, but we need to start winning things again.
Absolutely, and we do. We're just going to talk about. We're going to complete our list, the 20th team in our list, Liverpool Football Club. Now, if this isn't in the video, that's because I haven't learned how to do an animation in an hour. But I'm going to try and stick Liverpool into a bin on screen. So yeah, they are the worst team in the league. I absolutely hate them. Their fans, I despise them. I haven't got enough time for them. Their YouTube channels are shite as well. Yeah, I have got zero time for Liverpool Football Club. I'm not going to say congratulations, just like Everton, because we are the fucking best. Fuck you, like we are the best for the city, and up the toffees.
I am going to have to tread carefully here.
See, I don't have to, because I'm a wall.
No. Listen, trouble follows them everywhere. You've got their fans wanking in fucking fountains. They're pushing people in fountains. They cause trouble everywhere. They fight with their own fans between themselves on the pier. They stab each other. I'm not asked what Liverpoolians say about this, because what I'm saying, everyone knows what you like. So for me, fucking put them in a bin and then take them to the tip and bury them under all the shit.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. So, guys, that was that. I hope you enjoyed it. I quite like these tier maker videos. We'll do one of these once a week. You know, we could do one on Everton strikers. We could do one on best Everton captains over the years. We could do one on best Everton teams and squads. Or we could do one on Premier League stuff, you know, relegation. We could do our predictions on here. So me and John, probably next week, we'll do our early predictions video. And then we'll do another one at the end of the sort of, you know, before the first game of the season. What do you think about that, John?
Totally agree. There's going to be plenty of tears, though, when half of these fans get hold of me, isn't it, outside the ground?
Absolutely. Your face is going to be absolutely fucking stomped on.
Yes.
It's all right. It will improve how you look. Right, guys. I'll see you there. Have a fantastic day. Thank you ever so much for tuning in. As always, you have always been brilliant. And, yeah, John, peace.
Cheers, everyone. Thanks for watching.
I look at people and I wonder all day, who are you and you are not the one in your way. And then I think about myself and I stayed. I'm a pretty boss with all my shit brain waste. I'm a freak in the sheets, but I got class. I'm a grabbing